Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Sorry about that. We have a little bit of a technical glitch I'm working on Instagram. I'm seeing some very interesting lights coming on. I'm not sure why, but it's sort of fascinating. So to people on Instagram, just bear with me. I'm trying to figure out why that's happening, but it's sort of cool, I suppose. But anyway, today we're going to be having an interesting discussion here. It's a health topic that we're going to talk about, and it's going to be about what is the molecule of pain? Where does pain really come from? Oh, I see what I did. Oh, okay. There, now I'm live. And I did something where it's playing some cool little stuff. But anyway, we'll let that keep going. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about pain. And you can see the title of the talk that I'm going to bring up today is, let's go back to this. And we're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about the cytosol open science, but fundamentally, we're going to talk about the molecule of pain and how your body actually senses pain. And it's going to be an interesting discussion because this is going to be part of our Cytosolve Open Science Institute series. And as many of you know, we have a very powerful engine that allows us to do our scientific research using modern systems biology. It's really this. It's really the methodology of 23rd century science versus really wasting a lot of money killing animals and all of this. We have a very different way of doing this. So we're going to talk about that. But you're going to really understand when you cut your finger, when you accidentally hit your hand, or if you're working out and you start feeling soreness or pain, why that occurs, right? And it's going to be part of a series, and it's brought to you by the Cytosolve Open Science Institute. So let's go over there and let's look at, it's called the molecule of pain, how your body senses pain. So today we're actually going to be looking at a particular aspect of pain relative to one of the important molecules. So you're going to learn, let's walk you through what we're going to go over. By the way, those of you who are new, you can go to vashiva.com and you can get a whole background on what we do, what we're about, and all those kind of things. So I encourage you guys to all do that. So that's what we're going to be able to do. So one of the things here is we're going to take, first of all, we're going to talk about what is the systems approach. You're going to understand what is the Cytosolve Open Science Institute. Then we're going to go into the systems biology of pain, and then we're going to go into the summary. So first of all, at a very high level, before we go on to explain the Cytosolve Open Science Institute, when you, let's say, hit your hand or you cut your finger, what happens is right at the point where your finger is cut, you have nerves, right? And those nerves are composed of neurons. And a neuron contains a nucleus. It's got this thing called an axon, and it's got dendrites. And at the end of those dendrites are things called synapses. So bottom line, you have lots of these neurons, and those neurons are able to get that effect of when you cut your hand, and then it sends a signal up through your peripheral nerves, up all the way to your spinal cord right here, right? And then the spinal cord, you're going to find out, sends a series of signals up to your brain, and then you feel the pain, and then a signal sent back to recognize where that pain was, okay? So we're going to walk through that whole process because obviously if you're starting to look for, hey, how do I stop this pain? We're going to go down to the molecular level. And today in the first part of the pain series, you're going to understand what is the molecule of pain. There are many molecules called neuropeptides, but we're going to focus on one of them, which is really one of the most important molecules. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. We have a lot of people visiting us today. We have people from Las Vegas, New Mexico. Let's see. Someone says, nice background. Hello from Toronto. Good evening. Yeah, by the way, the background that we have up there is a background of systems health, which is a whole course program that we have that we've taught for probably about 15 years that really integrates Eastern medicine and Western engineering systems theory, which is the foundation of our Truth, Freedom, and Health program. And I'll talk more about that. But thank you, everyone. So let's continue here. I want to begin by, first of all, playing for all of you a quick video, which really gives my journey to systems, because I want all of you to really have the systems approach to looking at the world. So let me just play this quick video, and then we'll start shortly. Welcome to VA Shiva. VA Shiva is a product of my journey across East and West, science and tradition, ancient and modern, that brings you the science of systems so you can become a force for truth, freedom, health. VA Shiva is a platform of revolutionary education, community building, and weaponry for unleashing local activism. My journey to VA Shiva begins in the chaos of Bombay, where I experienced diverse religions, languages, castes, and in a small village that had no running water, no electricity, where my grandmother, a poor village farmer, practiced Siddha, an ancient system of Indian medicine over 10,000 years old. She observed one's face, the art of Samudrika Lakshanam, to understand a body's unique constitution, allowing her to deliver the right medicine for the right person at the right time. Watching my grandmother heal others, I was inspired to study medicine, but I was also aware of the corrupt caste system of India, which denigrated a human being, where my family were considered low caste untouchables, where one's birth determined one's destiny. The grit and determination of my mother and father led them to get educated and to come to America, a 1 in a trillion event. Their actions inspired me to work hard and excel. While in 9th grade, I attended New York University in a computer science program, and subsequently at the age of 14 was given a full-time job as a research fellow at what is now known as Rutgers Medical School in the heart of Newark, New Jersey. There I investigated the system of sleep using mathematics, computer science, and biology for sudden infant death syndrome. It was there in Newark where I invented email, when I was the first to convert every feature of the physical, paper-based inter-office mail system, including inbox, outbox, memo, carbon copy, blind carbon copy, attachments, into its electronic equivalent, a system which I named email, a term that I was the first to coin. On August 30th, 1982, I was awarded the first U.S. copyright for the invention of this system, recognizing me as the inventor of email. At that time, copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I went on to MIT, where I earned 4 degrees across multiple systems of engineering: electrical, mechanical, design, biological. That training led me to invent many other systems for advancing humankind. EchoMail, the world's first intelligent email management system. Cytosolve, a computational biology system for eliminating animal testing to discover new medicines faster, cheaper, and safer. And to the creation of a whole systems methodology for certifying clean food. These innovations led me back on a Fulbright to India, where I discovered the missing link between Eastern medicine and Western systems theory, honoring my grandmother, to develop Your Body, Your System, a powerful tool that will help you understand how your body is a system and how the inputs of food, supplements, and exercise bring your body back to its natural system state. And Systems Health, an integrative educational discipline that is now integrated into the VA Shiva platform that will enable you to learn the science of systems, the science of everything, be it your body as a system or our society and politics as a system, to reveal the foundational interrelationships between truth, freedom, health. Now is the time for you to be the light, learn the science of systems, build community, and weaponize yourself to unleash the activism necessary to deliver truth, freedom, health in your local community. Welcome to VA Shiva. All right, everyone. So, at Truth, Freedom, and Health, we have an entire system, education, a community, and a technology globally, 360,000 people in 95 countries, and all of them really learn how to think beyond left and right. They really understand the relationship of why we have to fight for freedom, truth, and take care of our health. So I want to encourage you all to go become Truth, Freedom, and Health warriors, contribute to all the research we do, contribute to yourself, get educated or be enslaved. And you'll find out that we have this entire way you can contribute and join. You can also attend the open house every Thursdays at 11 a.m. in EDT. I just pinned it, or 8 p.m. EDT. And to get invited, simply RSVP. We have lots of people from all over the world attending. It's a huge opportunity for you to not feel desperate, like you're alone, not get divided into these left or right groups, but really come together and really learn how to think from a systems way, because that's really the way that we get to solutions versus, fighting among each other. Or contribute and join. When you contribute today, your contributions go to support the entire system. But one of the fruits of that we provide, in addition to all the courses, as you can see, the books, all of this you get included for a very, very nominal amount. I try to give all this away for free. No one wanted it. No one can afford tens of thousands of dollars when I say teach it. So we charge about $100 if you want everything, but it includes a whole bunch of things. But one of the things includes is the Cytosolve Open Science Institute, which is our relationship with Cytosolve, which allows us to really take a holistic systems approach to taking research. For example, the pain work. We're looking at a lot of research out there. We understand the molecular mechanisms. And so you're able to really understand what's going on. So the Cytosolve Open Science Institute is dedicated to really fight against the real racism. And the real racism for us is Big Pharma, which wants us to all just take pills all day, not really supporting indigenous medicines, which come from all different cultures. That same Open Science Institute, we're also eliminating animal testing by our technology. For those of you who love your pets, that's one of the big things we're doing. And the Open Science Institute is also exposing the fact the entire Big Pharma development model, which is very costly, creates drugs which have lots of side effects. And moreover, this whole model is failing. This is why the Big Pharma guys had to move into vaccines and get us all jabbed. They spend a lot of money on R&D, and they're finding less and less new molecules because their whole approach is like the blind man looking at the elephant. The elephant, let's say, represents cancer. They just look at the parts, and they end up with something like this. So anyway, that's called reductionism. And finally, the Open Science Institute is about true, transparent science. This is a current web of science where you have the big government guys, big academia, big publishers, big pharma. They all work together. And we've recently seen in some of the research on Alzheimer's where the research was just made up. A guy just made it up. For 20 years, people were chasing this one path and had nothing to do with really helping solve Alzheimer's. So I want to let you know that we're dedicated to transparent approach to science, and it's science for the people, by the people. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com, contribute to all the research we do. It's research bottoms up, and it's using the Cytosolve technology. And when you contribute, if you contribute 100 more, you get all these 15 gifts, the course, the community, books. It's a very nominal amount, but you support all of it. So we want to give back when you support us, or you can contribute 25 to 60, 99, and you get still a bunch of gifts, 6 gifts. Or if you don't have any money, still become a member and you still get a bunch of gifts. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about the systems biology of pain now. All right. And I don't think I was sharing that. So let me go back here. So I was sharing all this stuff. If you didn't see this, right? This is sort of the Cytosolve model. This is what I was speaking about, the fight against racism. We want to eliminate animal testing. The drug development model, as I've talked about, is completely screwed up. They spend a lot of money on R&D and they're not finding any new drugs that actually really work. And the reason is because you have this reductionist model of the blind man touching the elephant. Sorry, I forgot to share these slides, but this is what I call the web of collusion. And this is why what we have right now in science is we have science comes out and a few people are deciding what truth is, and they could be running a racket like we just saw in Alzheimer's. Anyway, so when you contribute, you get lots of gifts. We just don't want to take your money. You get 15 gifts if you contribute 100 more, 25 to 99, and so on. Anyway, let's go to the biology of pain. So as I mentioned when I started, when you, let's say, hit yourself accidentally, you cut yourself or something happens, there are neurons, and a neuron is actually, looks like this. It's a very specific type of cell. It's got a nucleus. It's got dendrites. It's got this long thing called the axon and synapses. Okay, and the nerves here then transfer through a series of signals all the way up, almost at the speed of light, up to your dorsal nerve in your vertebrae, because you got all these nerves coming. And then a series of chemical reactions occurs here, which then signals your brain that you have pain going on. So it all happens instantaneously, but when you, let's say, accidentally cut yourself, it's not instantaneous. You feel the pain. A bunch of signals go up, chemicals get released, and then you go, ouch, right? So we're going to understand how that happens, all right? So let's go into that, understand the mechanisms. And by the way, this is part of our Systems Biology of Pain series. We'll be doing a whole bunch of videos on this, so you actually understand, and you also appreciate the technology that we have in place to really start discovering all sorts of new combinations. So again, so as I mentioned, it's a closer view. So when you hit yourself, this is called the nociceptor neuron, right? These are things that feel pain and heat and all those kind of things, okay? The peripheral nerve is right here, and this is connected right to right at the base, your spine, right? You got all these nerves coming, and this sends a signal up through your thalamus, and that's when you go, ouch, okay? So how does this work? Well, let me walk you through the recent work that was done on this. And so this is in the mouse model, but the mouse also has, a dorsal nerve. And let's walk through this here. So right here, when you get the external stimuli, at the location of that stimuli, let's say where you cut your hand, you get a bunch of pro-inflammatory agents. There's a very important, so this, by the way, what you're seeing here, this is one of those neurons, okay? When you feel that pain, as I mentioned over here, the pain gets, the pain, but the signal, you don't feel the pain yet. The pain has not been felt, but the cutting here sends a signal up to the back of your spine, okay? And there you have these other neurons. It's called the dorsal root ganglia neuron. So this is one of those neurons, and we're looking at the molecular level. So the pain signal is coming here, and this cell or the neuron, on the surface of it, you can see like this catcher's mitt is TRPV1. And what happens when that pain comes, calcium, this channel opens, the TRPV1, calcium gets infused in here, as you're seeing also up here. And this conjugate here, CAN, results in phosphorylation taking place to this molecule called CRTC1, which then goes into your nucleus. And all of this is occurring at the speed of light, by the way. And here's your nucleus, okay, of that neuron cell, of that nerve cell, the neuron. And this CRTC1 positions itself in the DNA, which is quite amazing. And it turns on your DNA to produce CGRP right here, CGRP. So again, you feel the pain over here, signal, not feel the pain, you cut your hand, local receptors here send the signal to your dorsal root ganglion. At the dorsal root ganglion, the stimuli comes, calcium gets released. The calcium results in this molecule called CRTC1 being released, crossing the nuclear membrane. Literally, the DNA opens up and it releases CGRP. And this CGRP goes out through one of the synapses here, the presynaptic cleft, and this starts going. Now, what happens at this, and this CGRP is a molecule of pain. So your body manufactures CGRP, and that's a signaling molecule. It's called a neuropeptide, okay? So that neuropeptide gets released, and let's see what happens then. The neuropeptide gets released, and that neuropeptide gets released, and it goes up to your trigeminal nucleus right up here, and you can see what's happening. The zoom in on this. So the trigeminal nerve, the signals comes in, and it starts releasing these CRGP molecules. And at the post junction, these synapses actually have a sending and a receiving, right? That's how signals get transmitted right here. But on the receiving end, there are receptors for CGRP. So the CGRP molecule gets released, it lands here, and then this transmits the signal up to your cortex, and you go, ouch, okay? And that's where you feel the pain right here, all right? So let's just summarize this again. So I'd like to go back. You cut your hand, the stimuli of that cutting of the hand, the nerves get innervated. They signal out to your spine. In the spine is this other neuron called the dorsal root ganglion. The signal's coming here. It opens up calcium, CRTC1, traverses from the cytoplasm into your nucleus, and you manufacture CGRP. And this starts releasing these neuropeptides, the molecule of pain. And this molecule of pain then goes up to your brain, and you go, ouch. So you see the biology here. So CGRP is the CGRP is the molecule of pain. Now, one of the things that recently came out in some recent work is they're finding that if you keep pain going, you actually increase mortality, which means people who have lots of pain in their body are increasing their mortality. That means reducing their lifespan. And recently they did some very cool work with these mice that I just showed, and they showed that when they did something, they created a version of mice which didn't have these TRPV1, right? These receptors, which means, let me go back to this. So they created mice which didn't have these TRPV1 receptors right here. That means when the signal was coming up here, when it went to the dorsal root ganglion, these mice could not feel pain. The mice could not feel pain. And guess what? The mice lived on average 100 years longer. 100 days longer, okay? So if people are suffering with pain, chronic pain, you reduce your lifespan, okay? So someone said I have chronic back pain. Am I yes, you are. So you're producing CGRP. So, I did a whole video on this Oxycontin and heroin and all these stuff, and we can get into it deeper, but you're better off taking stuff to reduce the pain if you want to live longer and versus living in pain, right? There's no reason to live in pain. And there's a whole discussion we could have on it. I did a video on it. If you want to go look on heroin, what it really was, diacetyl morphine, and the whole thing with Oxycontin, you should go see it. It's a very different perspective, okay? Yes, painkillers mask the pain, but nothing in life is black or white. There are some people who have chronic pain, and either they live under that chronic pain forever, right? Which means they're going to decrease their lifespan. You sometimes want to get to the root of that pain, holistically, which is another avenue, which is the really the long game. But sometimes you have serious pain. There's people who have serious surgery. You're going to have to take painkillers for that, right? Unless you do acupuncture, right? And there's some techniques there we can talk about. It's not all or nothing. But one of the things they recently found out was with these mice. So the wild type, meaning the mice that had their TRPV1 receptors, they secreted CGRP. And guess what the CGRP did? It reduced insulin release and it reduced energy expenditure, which means people who are living in chronic pain have a chance of becoming diabetic, okay? Because their body's insulin production goes down. So they found this very interesting connection mechanistically between pain, the CGRP, how it affects the pancreatic beta cells and reduces insulin, versus the mice that were not feeling pain. Their CGRP secretion was down because it wasn't producing it. Their insulin release went up and they had proper energy expenditure. So metabolic health, this research showed, is affected by chronic pain. So if you have a lot of chronic pain, you got to address it, okay? Now, there are exercises, there's good alternative practitioners, but obviously there are also now emerging medicines that are come from natural sources, which allow you to address that. So what we've done at Cytosolve is that Cytosolve, as you know, is this very powerful technology. Without killing animals, we can take these molecular pathways, convert them to molecular reactions on the computer, and then start testing different compounds that are coming from nature. For many years, 16 years, we've been helping lots of organizations who are also committed not to killing animals, who want to find out what really works versus just shooting in the dark like pharma does and just money-minded all the time, right? To really find out what works. And we were able to discover a combination of bioflavonoids that come from nature that do this. So I'm going to play you a quick video about that. But to those of you joining, this is the beginning of our pain series. So CGRP is the molecule of pain. There are other neuropeptides, but it's one of the critical molecule that's involved in pain. And we just went through, how it's formed, okay? And let me play you a quick video on MV25 so you understand sort of how we actually created MV25 using Cytosolve.
Millions of people suffer every day from painful discomfort and swelling, but most pain medications come with harsh side effects, and many alternative supplements have little scientific backing. That's why we at CytoSolve created MV25. MV25 was formulated using the CytoSolve Computational Systems Biology Platform, a technology for precision and personalized health invented by Dr. Shiva during his doctoral research at MIT. This formulation is the result of computing trillions of potential combinations of biomolecular interactions derived from thousands of peer-reviewed scientific papers published across 4 decades by 68 research institutions to discover an optimal synergy of compounds that downregulate biomarkers of discomfort and normal swelling.
Hi, I'm Barbara Ann. My hands would cramp up so that I couldn't hold cards or knit or crochet, and they would go like that. And I'd have to use this when I played cards with my grandkids, and I started taking that MV25. After a bit, I was able to hold cards in my hand, very, very little cramping, hardly at all anymore. MV25.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm a Taekwondo instructor. I tore my ACL during Taekwondo. I had a lot of pain and limited mobility. I've been taking the MV25 for about 6 months now. After the first week, I noticed a big difference. After the second week, almost literally no pain.
My name is Jeremy, and I suffer from a lower back problem. Hurt my back at work years ago, and I can go to the chiropractor, do all kinds of different things, and nothing seems to help. And I decided to try MV25. I didn't notice a difference immediately, but within a few days, the pain went away, and it stayed away. I've continued to take it, and even when I do things that I shouldn't do, it seems to go away a lot quicker than it ever did before.
MV25 is certified clean, 100% non-GMO, made in America, and GMP certified for good manufacturing practices. MV25 is CytoSolve optimized, which means that this formula has been engineered to maximize benefits while minimizing toxicity based on current research curated by CytoSolve. As the science advances, so will this formulation. This is our promise. Order online at mv25.life. Consult your doctor before taking any supplement or medication and use as directed. MV25.
All right, and those of you who are asking where to find it, you can just go to vashiva.com. On the shop, you'll see a shop link. You click that, and you'll find it, and that's how you can find MV25. So anyway, I want to just let everyone know we're going to be doing the pain series. So we went through the biology of the systems biology, but many of you know, starting even during when the quote-unquote pandemic happened, we were the first out there in 2019 really talking about the system of immune health. In the last weekend of October, we're going to be doing a big international conference on the immune system. We're going to re-educate people again. We did it many years ago, but it's time to do it again. What is the immune system? How it works? It's going to be a 4-hour conference. All of you are Truth, Freedom, and Health warriors. You're all welcome to. It's part of our program that we do. Anyone can come. Those of you who are not Truth, Freedom, and Health warriors, I encourage you to do that. But it's a way that you can actually support our CytoSolve research. Go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Contribute. You can contribute at various levels, but when you contribute, we just don't take your money. We want to give you stuff. So if you contribute $100 or more, you get about 15 different gifts, including the membership into Truth, Freedom, and Health, or $25 to $99. You can come in as a supporter level. Or if you don't have any money, we still support you because we want to help people out. But one of the important things is when you go through the Truth, Freedom, Health system, you get all this knowledge. You get the Foundations of Systems course, but you get a community. But most importantly, you learn how to think, and you are supporting in a very fundamental way yourself to get out of this enslavement to left and right, pro and anti. So even when we discuss health, we won't say this is good or this is bad. We take a systems approach. So anyway, today we've learned what the molecule of pain is, CGRP. And the important thing to understand is that if you're living with pain, do something about it, because you're actually hurting your mortality. You're lowering your mortality. Don't don't try to find the perfect solution. Do something. And then while you're doing that, try to find the perfect solution. But it's definitely not worthwhile living with pain. Yes, there is no pain, no gain. Certain things where you create your own pain, but if you cut your finger, or you get in a car accident, or go through a horrible surgery, do what you need. But in the middle of that, look for the alternative solutions that will really help you. Okay, so it's not black and white. We want to figure out what's right for you at the right time in your life. If you get into a horrible accident, right? God forbid, Western medicine has some amazing tools for that, right? But Western medicine sucks at managing your body day to day overall for chronic pain. So there has to be some fundamental lifestyle changes you're going to have to do. So anyway, someone's asking, yes, Thursday at 11 a.m. or at 8 p.m., all of you are invited to our open house. It's a great community of people. You won't feel alone. You'll start recognizing there's lots of people who are really wanting to really understand the science of systems and grow themselves. So I hope all of you guys join, and I'll end with the video, which will share with you all the features that are involved in Truth, Freedom, and Health. Here you go. Hello, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Welcome to VA Shiva, the platform of education, technology, and activism, so you may raise your consciousness to win the truth, freedom, and health you need to create the future you deserve. The VA Shiva platform provides its truth, freedom, health warrior scholars the following 3 capabilities. Number 1, an ultimate education that is based on the science of systems. Number 2, technologies to empower you to take charge of your health, as well as social media tools, independent of big tech, so you can connect with other incredible truth, freedom, health warrior scholars equally dedicated like you to winning truth, freedom, and health. 3, instruments for activism, so you become a beacon of light in your online and offline community to educate others' growth and advancement. VA Shiva provides you the foundations of the science of systems, the ultimate education. The science of systems provides you the missing fundamental scientific knowledge to understand every system in and around you. The science of systems will enable you to uncover the real problem and real solution in any situation and on any issue. Concerning the educational component, first you will receive direct access to me to learn the science of systems in my 3-hour live private online group class that I run every week. Second, you will have access to archived lectures so you can continue your education independent of me. Third, you can test your proficiency in learning the fundamental principles and get a formal certification for the foundations of systems. Independent of this classroom education, you will receive also 4 important books. The first book is the best-selling classic Systems and Revolution, from which you can learn all of these concepts and more. The second book is The Science of Everything, that will educate you on how the science of systems is the foundational knowledge of every system in the universe. The third book, Your Body, Your System, focuses on how to understand the interplay of these systems within your own body. And then the fourth book, Your System, Your Life, will help you apply these principles to other aspects of your life, such as running a business, understanding relationships, and more. Beyond the curriculum and books, the second capability is the technologies that you will be afforded. One of them is a powerful Your Body, Your System software, which is an online laboratory where you can use your body as a system to further deepen your understanding of the science of systems. The tool allows you to understand what kind of system you are. Is your system on course or is it off course? And how the inputs of food, supplements, herbs, activities such as sleep, yoga, meditation, exercise can affect your body to bring it back on course. Finally, to support your education, I've also included a seminal scientific paper that I wrote, which will help you understand that the knowledge of systems, it does not only originate in the modern world starting in the 1920s and 30s, but it actually dates back 10 to 20,000 years and intersects directly with the foundations of Eastern systems of medicine. In addition to this, you will also get 2 scientific papers sharing how the science of systems can also be used to apply to understanding how food is medicine. One paper exposes turmeric from the molecular systems level and how it affects your body. The other paper explores ginger and how that affects your body. That's just the educational piece. As you raise your consciousness through this education, you will likely want to connect with other truth, freedom, health warrior scholars in an environment where you can connect and build community. To support that, I've also created 2 powerful social media tools. One of them is a VA Shiva forum. Here you can start discussions, you can pose questions and meet others and have healthy debates. The other is VA Shiva Social, where you can create your own profile, your own presence, like other major social media tools. However, it is independent of big tech. You can use VA Shiva Social to interconnect with your fellow truth, freedom, health warrior scholars and build community. Beyond the education capability and the social media capability, the platform also enables you to take action by disseminating your knowledge on the ground and into your local online and offline communities. CDs, powerful educational cards, and research are included so you can pass these cards to your friends and neighbors that provide them summarized content, which further directs them to online research and education. In addition to this, the activism component also provides you many short 1-minute educational video content, memes, and text, allowing you to quickly craft messages for your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and other pages so you can deliver content to educate others and drive them to longer educational posts on VA Shiva. VA Shiva is fundamentally an enabling platform for you to get the truth, freedom, and health you deserve through education, technology, and activism. I hope you become a truth, freedom, and health warrior scholar today. Thank you. All right, everyone. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Again, for everyone, please attend our open house. It's very easy. Just RSVP at vashiva.com/orientation. You're all welcome. Tell as many friends as you want. They'll have a great time. Thank you, everyone. Be well. Be the light. I'll see you tomorrow morning.